guys, welcome back to Shari Speaks. So one thing I want to talk about is actually one of my favorite side hustles I've ever experienced. And that was me as a rideshare driver. So I do want to say I've gotten a lot of, I've always had questions about being a female and doing rideshare. And I want to say that it's possible, but you have to have really strong boundaries and you have to understand the concept. Like, you're there to make the money come. It's about getting the money coming in, and you have to be on it. You have to be consistent. You may even have to drive, like if you live in like a more like rural suburban area, you may have to drive about 45 minutes if you're not close to a city. But it's one of the most, I guess you could say, intensive, but also some of the most fun experiences I've ever had in my life. When I first started, I was a little bit uncertain, like, who, you know, like, is this cool? Is this gonna work? Like, because a lot of people in this world, they put stuff in your head, especially being a female. What if this one has this? What if this one has this? But they see my size, they see my figure, and they think I must not know. Maybe I'm not aggressive enough. But of course, obviously, driving in the city, Philadelphia, you have to be aggressive. You have to know how to deal with that. So yes, I am very aggressive when I have to be. You know, it's kind of like a ebb and a flow. Some people, you may have to directly tell them to get out the car. I've done that before once, and I'll tell you the situation. There's three males. One male says, can you roll down the window? I said, okay. The other one says, can you roll down the other? And I said, it's kind of cold, no? Now, mind you, this is in New Jersey, it's April, it's still kind of chilly. And he said, oh, well, I can put my arms around you. He didn't expect this, but I said, well, let me ask you something. First of all, you don't know if I'm married. You don't know what my orientation is. You don't know. It's very presumptuous of you to say I could put my arms. So it turned into this big. I mean, I really blew up about it. And I said, what makes you think that you could come in my car and say this? If this was a male, would you have said, can I? And he said, no, I just thought you were just gonna hee ha ha. I said, no, it's not gonna go down like that. So it turned into a lot of confusion and escalation. At that point, I said, well, you know what? It's my car and you can get out. And they try to scare you with, oh, the bad reviews, blah, blah. But you know what? I'm just as bad as you. I'm gonna call them too and say, listen, I just had X, Y, and Z in my car, Tom, Dick, and Harry, and this is what happened. So that doesn't matter. So don't ever feel scared to defend yourself or stand up for yourself, because it is your car. You are doing a favor and a service. Now, if you're really on your hustle and your grind, you can make up to, I made $400 in one night. However, that was Philadelphia to New York. It was maybe like 3 a.m. kind of thing, but I was willing to take the ride and do what I had to do. So I'm just saying, you could get it, you could hustle. One of the most intensive experiences I had was a downpour of torrential rain. You have to be careful. So there's a lot of different elements, it's an interesting job nonetheless. But I'm saying you do have to be careful, but for me, I had a blast. And in regards to East Coast versus West Coast, if you're an East Coaster, I would speak with people and say, yeah, I'm going to live in LA and I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to do the whole rideshare thing there. And somebody said to me, I don't think you're going to like your job very much. And I have to say to that person, whoever that was, if you're watching, you are absolutely right. I did not like doing the rideshare thing on the West Coast. Why? Because in a city, everything is much, on the East Coast, everything is very close. The people are different. So you have to understand that the vibe is a little bit different on the West Coast. Santa Monica, Pasadena, Beverly Hills, all three towns that I just said, they're all far. So you're spending gas. I mean, if you're a West Coaster, I've spoken to natives here, they love it. But if you're from the East Coast like myself, it might be a little bit of a stretch getting used to the way of the land here. So for me, I kind of had to transition into something else. But when I was on the East Coast, I loved it. And 1 week, you could do up to 1,200. If you just really grind, hustle, and you're about that, it's amazing. You have your freedom, your flexibility. Highly recommend it. Don't let anybody make you feel some type of way, like, oh, well, you're a female, and what if this? I constantly would get that asked. Oh, if my daughter was doing this, I don't think I would allow it, or whatever the case may be. But it's all about how you handle yourself. never had any bad situations because I never let it escalate to that point. So if you're doing the rideshare thing and you need some assistance, or you need some maybe some strategy with it, or maybe some assurance with it, don't feel bad, because I did it and I made out great. But again, I'm on the West Coast, so I transitioned. But it was a great way to help me make it from the East Coast. It also gave me confidence in my driving. Wasn't going to get into this in this episode, but from driving so much, I was very confident. I was able to drive across country in 3 days from New Jersey to LA. So with all that driving, it did pay off, and I was able to do that beautiful trip across country. That's all I have for you right now, and until the next time, we'll meet again.